Well guys, I've gone against my better judgment. Originally, I was not going to make a video on this loser because I did not want to give him any more attention than he was already getting, but here we are. Over the last month or so, I would say, maybe a little bit longer, there's been a lot of drama surrounding a certain content creator who has never really been well liked on the internet. Now, like I said, originally I was not going to make a video on this guy, but recently so many big creators have that I don't think me holding out is really gonna have any sort of significance. So I figured I might as well speak my mind, right? Jack Doherty, if you don't know, is the internet's biggest loser. If you've never heard of this guy, if you have no idea what he does, basically he's been on YouTube for quite some time at this point. His shtick has always been really bad pranks that aren't really pranks at all, and recently it's only been getting worse. If you're active on social media and you've been hearing about a content creator going around with a bodyguard, starting fights, and then making the bodyguard fight for him, that is Jack. Jack is just a little fella who walks around with a pretty hostile bodyguard, starts some sort of conflict with a person, and then has his bodyguard knock them out and then films it for content. Yeah, I know, sounds like a really awesome person, right? So why am I making a video on this guy? Well, because he stinks. So, where do we even begin? If you've never even heard the name Jack Doherty, I'd be a little bit surprised because he's been doing YouTube for quite some time. He's been doing it for like 7 years at this point, since he was 12 or 13, and like you would expect, he started off on YouTube doing pretty stupid stuff like prank calls, little skits, stuff of that nature, but it wasn't really too long after he began that his videos began to devolve into stuff that you would expect to see from somebody who's doing the kind of videos he does now. Stuff like going into various stores and trying to get kicked out or get the cops called on you, releasing diss tracks against other YouTubers, pranks that boil down to just harassment. It was pretty clear from the get-go that this guy was never going to be making that great of content here on YouTube, but for some reason, I don't really know what was in the water in 2016, the guy got pretty famous. And unsurprisingly, if you make a 13-year-old rich and famous for doing stupid things and messing with people, he's probably gonna keep doing it. I'm not really sure if that lady who wrote If You Give a Mouse a Cookie still writes books, but if she does, I think I've got an idea for her next one. So as Jack got bigger and bigger, he tried to push the limits with his videos further and further. These days, every single thing that Jack does on the internet is nothing but rage bait. The guy has learned over the years that the best kind of content on the internet is not necessarily the kind that makes you look like a good person. A lot of the times, it is the direct opposite. There's a fine line that a lot of content creators purposefully walk where they try to remain as controversial as possible without doing anything that is looked down upon by every single person in society. They go as far as they possibly can to simultaneously garner an audience of people who find this kind of behavior funny and entertaining, while also making every single other person who sees this kind of content angry. These kinds of people are consistently the most famous people on the internet. If you can get every single person who's active on the internet talking about you for one reason or another, you're gonna be famous. We've seen this phenomenon a lot with people like Andrew Tate, Logan Paul, Bad Baby, Nikocado Avocado. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Controversy, as long as you haven't done something absolutely heinous, is probably the best thing for an internet celebrity. The whole idea that there's no such thing as bad publicity is repeated over and over again for a reason. Most of the time, it's pretty accurate. Jack knows this, so he continues to make the kind of content that he does that you've probably seen on Twitter. Now, I'm not going to be showing some of this stuff because I don't really want this video to get age restricted, and if I do, it will. But over the last month or two, there have been like 5 videos go viral on Twitter where Jack is walking around starting stuff with people while he's streaming. They'll say something, they'll step towards him, they'll do something, and then his bodyguard will assault them. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I honestly did not know who Jack was until these videos went viral. Seriously, I'm not just saying that. I honestly did not have a clue who Jack Doherty was until about a month ago when I saw that video of Jack at what looked like a costume party where his bodyguard did exactly what I just described. Now, I could be wrong about this, but from my understanding, that was kind of the first big incident involving Jack and his bodyguard. I've done some Googling, I've done some research, and everything I find, that is the earliest time we saw anything like this happen. Now, since then, there's been like 3 or 4 more incidents like this that have gone viral. Do you think that's a coincidence? Jack obviously knows what he's doing here with these videos, and it's 100% on purpose. Now, why does any of this matter? Why do I bother making a video on this loser? Well, because I feel like we have entered into a new age of the internet, where people like this are just going to be perpetually famous forever until social media sites step in and do something about it. about it. Because people, myself included, cannot keep their mouth shut when they see stuff they don't like on the internet. And that's the problem. It's this sort of cyclical battle I have found myself in many times because of what I do for a living, where I just really want to ask myself, what's the point of this video? Who am I convincing? When it comes to stuff like this, I'm just preaching to the choir. When it comes to these super controversial figures, where the situations have no nuance, videos like this, the one I'm making, and all the other videos that people make just like it, are just making it worse. That's why at the beginning I said I was holding out on making this video, but at this point it's not really gonna make a difference. I'd say almost 100% of the time, people like this, Jack Doherty, are made famous not by their audience, but by the opposite, by the people who do not like them, the haters, if you will. Now look, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with criticism or commentary videos, they're important, but sometimes it's pointless. Like really, for example, you, the person watching this video right now, yes you, what do you think about Jack Doherty? Do you think he's a bad guy? Do you think he's a man-child who makes content for losers? I'd bet money that you do. If you don't, then I bet you're a 13-year-old Jack Doherty fan. And there's not gonna be an in-between. Those are the only two kinds of people watching this video right now because there is absolutely no nuance in this situation. It's black and white. Now, if there is the slightest bit of nuance in a situation, then yeah, criticism, commentary videos, internet discussions, they're all super important because you could win somebody over. There's a chance you could change somebody's mind. For example, the recent Dream situation. Yes, Dream is this super controversial personality, but there is nuance to his situation. There's room for discussion. You've got millions of people on the internet hating on the guy for things that they might not know aren't true. Or on the flip side, you've got the Colleen Ballinger controversy when she released that horrible ukulele apology video. You've got a lot of people who might not know that she's not being tossed under the toxic gossip train. She's actually done a lot of horrible stuff in the past. This is not one of those situations. This is a guy who is going around assaulting people for content. You might say, August, well, you've made videos on people who've done that in the past, and yeah, I have. None of them had 13 million subscribers on YouTube and have been trending on Twitter every other week for the last 2 months. This is not somebody who has flown under the radar. This is not somebody that YouTube might not know about. Because there are good reasons to bring attention to people who don't deserve attention. People need to be and should be called out for bad behavior. Otherwise, how will they learn? But in this situation, there's no learning to be done. The guy has been called out on this a million times, and he continues to do it. His audience has seen what he does. They've seen his personality and they still watch him. What is there to say? If you think that it's okay to go around instigating fights and then having somebody step in for you and do all your dirty work, what am I gonna say that's gonna change your mind? Like seriously, if a person thinks that it's okay for a random innocent person to be punched in the face because a streamer wants content, what do you say to them? Hey, punching people in the face is bad? I'm sure they've already made their decision on that in their mind. What are you gonna say to change it? Nothing. The kind of person who likes Jack Doherty's content is either 12 or 13 and they just don't know any better, or they're a grown adult who is so stuck in their ways that they will never change. There is a ton of room for growth and improvement on the internet with a lot of different situations, but when it comes to stuff like this, there just isn't. It's why I never made a video on Andrew Tate. I am never going to change Andrew Tate's mind, and the people who agree with Andrew Tate are either going to grow out of it on their own, or they're going to think that way forever. When there are situations where people are confused or misled, or not enough people are talking about certain things going on, and it might not be getting the attention it deserves, yeah, it's important for people to come together and say, hey, look at this again. But what else is there to say about a guy who is getting more and more famous every day for walking around a mall bumping into people and then having his bodyguard threaten them? What is left to discuss? I mean, yeah, we can sit here and call him a loser for 15 minutes. I am probably going to title the video something to that effect, but who is this news to? If you've never heard of Jack Doherty, you probably think the exact same thing, because if you like that kind of content, you would probably know Jack already. So at best, I've just introduced Jack Doherty's name to new people that didn't know him to begin with. Yeah, they might dislike him, but now they know him. The truth of the internet is that people like Jack Doherty wouldn't exist if people like me didn't exist, and people like me wouldn't exist if people like Jack Doherty didn't exist. Now you might be thinking a lot of this preaching is coming across hypocritical, and yeah, you might be right. I have made a few videos like this in the past where I do exactly what everybody else does. I just regurgitate things. We all know this guy is bad and this is why he's bad. At the end of the day, what did I do? Nothing but make that person more famous. Get his name out to more people, get more people talking about that person. It hasn't happened that many times, and there's really only a few people that this kind of argument applies to, because very, very, very few situations are black and white. But Jack Doherty, the discussion on whether or not it's bad to punch random people in the face, I don't really know how much there's left to say about it. The absolute worst thing that could ever happen to Jack is if people stopped criticizing him. The internet's punching bag has always been a very profitable role. I'm really not trying to come off high and mighty in this video. I feel like I might be. I really didn't even plan on going on this tangent when I started recording this, but the more I talked about it, the further I got into it, the more I started thinking, who am I really talking to? Who watching this video doesn't know who Jack Doherty is? Who watching this video doesn't dislike him? We're all in the same boat. Like I said, I really want to reiterate that I don't think videos like this are pointless. If I did, I wouldn't make them. I think bringing attention to bad things and people trying to rally together to say, hey, you shouldn't do this anymore is important. But when a situation like this presents itself, and they are rare, don't get me wrong, very few people have managed to walk that line that I mentioned, but some people have. And when they do, when talking about them, making videos about them, hating on them on Twitter has proven to do nothing but make them more famous and more wealthy, you've got to recognize you're no longer doing good. You're just making it worse. Well, guys, sorry, I guess? I don't know. I feel like this video is really gonna come off the wrong way. I feel like I know what I want to say, but I'm just not really articulating it properly, because obviously I find importance in the videos I make and the videos that many, many, many other people make. I feel like I'm not really properly describing how specific the situation I'm talking about where it's pointless is, and I think my failure to do so is gonna upset some people because I'm gonna come off the wrong way, and you know, that's not exactly ideal. But hey, I guess if we've learned anything today, it's that controversy is good, right? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and walk on over to that subscribe button and touch it. It's free. It won't cost you anything. But for now, that's all I have for you today. Bye.